Passion's Best Games Rant, number 6, Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker. Man, this game got a lot of shit when it came out. A lot of people were shitting on Wind Waker, saying, oh, the graphics are too cel-shaded, it's too cartoony, I can't take this seriously. What if somebody walks in while I'm playing this and thinks I'm a child? Except you probably were a child, because it came out in 2003. I was a child then. I don't know. And if you weren't, well, who the fuck cares? It was beautiful, it was gorgeous, the graphics were awesome. It's the only Zelda game, and I would say on a list of games from that time, that still looks as good now as it did then, because it wasn't shooting for gritty realism, and it didn't need that. It's fucking Zelda. You know, it's this whimsical fantasy adventure game. Why does it need, photorealism? Come on now. The games that aimed for that at the time haven't held up nearly as well. So I always look at Wind Waker as one of the best examples of that. How aesthetics trumps, realism in games especially. And that's not to say I shit on old games that go for a realistic visual style. It's just that there's definitely so much merit and so much good it can do a game to go for, a stylistic aesthetic. And Wind Waker, aside from the fact that it still looks beautiful and still plays well, still has wonderful music, and everything that's ever been great about the Zelda series is there, it also has a level of exploration and open-ended gameplay that I think is probably my biggest problem with the Zelda series in general. I mean, I know Breath of the Wild would probably be the exception, potentially. I haven't played that one yet. I'm very excited to, because it looks like maybe the best Zelda game since Wind Waker. But before that, everything we've had, both before and after Wind Waker, like Ocarina of Time is constantly held up as the best game in the series, and everybody likes to hold that one up and put it on a pedestal. And yeah, Ocarina of Time was revolutionary, it was groundbreaking, it was indeed an influential game, and it deserved the praise it got at the time. But I do think a lot of that is just seriously strong nostalgia for those Nintendo 64 days. And look, that's fine, but Wind Waker exists, and I think Wind Waker definitely deserves more praise. I think it's a better game than Ocarina of Time. Definitely better than Twilight Princess, which cribbed so much from Ocarina of Time and had so few ideas of its own that it really just felt like a remake of Ocarina of Time. I hated Twilight Princess. I still hate that game. I've only played it once. I did manage to finish it, but I don't remember having fun with it at all, honestly. I liked the little sidekick you had in that one, Midna, little fairy thing, but I don't know, most of that game was just bland and fucking boring, and Hyrule was just so unimaginative and uninspired. It felt like they just took the N64 overworld and just draped GameCube resolutions over it, and it just was so flat and lifeless compared to Wind Waker that had come out in years before. Like, I could fire that game up right now if I had a GameCube, and I'm sure it would still feel fresh. It would still feel like a new game, because that's how well Wind Waker holds up. And I hope there's a Switch version at some point, if there isn't already. I think there might be already, actually. If not, it's a no-brainer. It should be on Switch, because that's a game that can be re-released with, almost no changes needed. A lot of people did shit on that game back in the day, but I really do consider that the best Zelda game. I think that's my favorite, by far. Some of the fondest memories I've had on the GameCube was just sailing around in that big ocean world in Wind Waker. It was as much an open world game as it was a traditional Zelda game. You had the dungeons, you had the puzzles and the fun items and stuff, big boss fights, but you also had this big, beautiful awesome imaginative ocean world to explore. And to me, that is why Wind Waker is one of the best games ever made. So there you go. On to the next vid. Ciao.